Hello, I'm Dynasty Demir.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, Cheikh Anta Diop is a very close mentor to me. I was involved in a movement called the Rassemblement National Démocratique, RND, was it created. And we did a lot of work in terms of a vision for African development with all the resources. And his perspective, of course, was a Pan-African perspective, like the Nkrumah, the Garvey, all the people like that. There's ideas that you need to bring the continent. And he did a lot of research to show how, by bringing all the different resources of the continent can very quickly catch up and being basically a power, at least a self-sufficient power in some way. One thing I mention very often also is about his wife. His wife was a geography specialist, she was a demographer. And one of my favorite books she ever wrote, she explained how, and this is I think going to speak to you, she explained how from a pure demographic standpoint, the African continent will only recover from the slave trade in 2050. Just from the pure mechanic of demography. Forget about the cars, forget about the manpower we have and all of that. But just for Africa to kind of find back its balance from all the loss, it's going to take until 2015. So another 25 years from where we are now. So he's basically saying that 4 centuries later, this continent is suffering from just a kind of manpower, just of the slave trade. So Cheikh Anta did participate to some of that those studies. So Cheikh Anta, I think, was very critical for us here in Senegal because it pushed a lot this whole idea of national languages, the use of national languages for education. Doudou Diaw is a specialist of education. He can tell you this idea that you can educate people in a foreign language just make no sense. Because a kid from Senegal here, if he's 6 years old, when he go to school, he knows how to do addition, multiplication, subtraction. He can do so many things. But when he arrives in the school in French, basically, he has no idea of what you're talking about. I have this friend of mine, he's here, in fact, he's going to be here later. He tells me that when he went to school for this first year, for 1 year, he never felt also as violently attacked in his life because he knew from what his family was telling him that this is a critical year in your life, you're going to determine all the rest of your life, but he couldn't understand anything from what the teacher was telling him for the entire year. So it shows you also the trauma it brings in education. A specialist of education here will not deny that. In fact, with Doudou, we work in Berlin, and I make that same point, Cheikh Anta make all the time. And there was this a young French professor at Sciences Politiques in Paris. She came to at the end and said, "Oh yeah, you're right. It's just like us in France. If when I went to school, they tell me, oh, forget everything you learn, and let's start teaching you in Chinese." And all of a sudden she said, "Yeah, I never realized that." And so it's not only a violent trauma, but it's just not practical. So, and Cheikh Anta gave another example. I remember him talking about water heater. So in the school, when you learn volume, they teach you about calculating the circumference of the circle, the height, and based on that you can calculate the volume of the water heater. But you come to a class here in Senegal, that kid never even heard about a water heater. He doesn't even have the concept of the water heater. So you want to teach that kid an abstract mathematical formula based on a concept it doesn't even have. How many kids know what a water heater, a chauffe? How many kids know what a chauffe? So now, so that's what to be translated. Okay, so that's the kind of example it was giving. Of course, if you go to literature, we tell you about the four seasons. Where are the four seasons in Senegal? So everything is kind of like that.
The 2 seasons.
And those are really big problems. And we really believe that if you don't have a more, basically, based on your own resource, your own history, your own culture, way to teach people, to educate people, you're not going to go anywhere. So I would say those are the main things I learned with Cheikh Anta. Yeah.
Thank you so very much.
Merci. I was just, as it relates to the concept that you were saying, getting back on track as it relates to 2050, right? Mm-hmm. And we understand, as it relates to colonization all over the world, are they even talking about plans to be implemented to be able to merge from where you are now to be able to be in the space to just go as it relates to 2050, as it relates to the education and the different authors and the people that could actually create the books that actually pertain to Senegal, the education, and just implementing different things so that the kids start to understand as it relates to where they need to be. So they can actually be where they need to be in 2050. Because for me, it's like 2050 is the plan, it's the goal. Then how are we taking steps to make sure it just smooth sailing?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, this is a great question, because in order to do that, you need to have the elite itself to be conscious of that. And
to bring them back, to be able to collect the items that will be useful so that the kids understand again in 20 to 30 years. But you know, but I'm just saying, I would create a
this is one of the things Cheikh Anta talk a lot about, that is the lack of even conscience of Africans themselves, or where they are, who they are. They see themselves through the eyes of the colonizers still today. And also you've been formatted, including me. I'm very conscious about that.
Right.
That you get formatted into those lenses.
And this is why you meet, build.
Hello.
Non, venez, il n'y a pas de problème. Allez-y. Allez.
Hello, how are you? You know, build and find the collectives of where you can have that thought exchange and, you know, grasp ideas, write down stuff, document it, formulate your own ideas, because it's not going to happen if you keep waiting for them. It's never going to happen because they're so focused on other stuff as it relates to the actual needs, and until the people start to gain a higher conscious level and understanding, then it's going to stay where it is.
That's a good point. Another example of the extraversion, the former president of Senegal, Abdou Diouf, when he was very young, he was already governor. After he was minister, he was prime minister of Senegal, he was president of Senegal, he was the head of the African Union. He wrote his memoir. It's about, let's say, 350 pages or something like that.
Okay.
I read all the way to about 200 pages. In the whole 200 pages, every single reference in terms of quotes, in terms of ideas, every single one was from French. Even from when he was in elementary school, talking about what the white teach. It was so shocking. After 200 pages, I cannot. And the guy went all his life and his career was it's extraordinary how deep it is.
He's living now in France. This is why.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Yeah, of course.
Is she of African descent?
Yeah, it's deep.
I mean, it's everywhere deep. Don't get me wrong, because even in the States, and now that we understand what is happening, that we see a clear picture that we would know, understand, but as a whole we don't, because of all of the systems that have been put in place to just keep us, you know, behind. And so that's what I was saying. I was like, until even the people over here get some level of self-awareness, a level of pride, sense of pride and understanding just like how this is beautiful, like, you know, I don't know. But at some point,
it will come at what point? I know we're not going to be around, but it will come at what point?
I know.
But it's going to take a long, long time.
But you can kind of
Leapfrog.
tip it over there.
So what about you guys? Where are you from?
I'm from Memphis.
Okay.
Memphis?
Yeah.
Oh, you're from DC? You live there?
So we're on our way to Goree Island, visit the point of no return, eat lunch, enjoy the island, have fun. Still having fun here in Dakar, Senegal.
Excuse me. This wasn't open last time we were here. This little museum right here. This is new. All right, now we're gonna enter the slave dungeon.
Like this, they just renovate it. So when the slaves get in the slave house, the first thing they do is get in this room so they can take their work here. Why they take their work? Because less than 60 kg, the slave is not going. They keep him in a special room here and they feed him for 3 months with a kind of bean we call nyebe. And after 3 months, if enough is wrong, then he go. If not, they keep him here and they use him like domestic, or they sell him instantly.
Oh, my bad.
Les hommes, les femmes, les filles, les garçons, et même les mineurs, unisexes, tous ont eu à résider dans ces lieux. Et les premières cellules.
And here we are in one of the cells. You see how small it is. Most of the time, the first question people ask is how many people, but they don't care about the number. Their only problem was how to close the door. And the slave was sitting back against the wall with shackles and with a very heavy iron board that I'm going to show you. So why the iron board? Because some of the slaves wanted to escape, but they cannot go anywhere because people think they was excellent swimmer. Because of the weight, they cannot go anywhere. As they was eat by the sharks or shoot by the guard. Why the sharks? Because at this time, people who were sick or agonizing, they just throw them in the water. But no more sharks now.
Regardez la qualité des dents. Si les dents de l'enfant sont de bonne qualité, il présente que normalement il doit être aussi en bonne santé. Et puisqu'il est en bonne santé, donc l'enfant aussi fera le voyage comme tous les autres dans les Amériques. Après les enfants, c'est au tour des jeunes filles. Jeunes filles considérées comme telles. Et pour les jeunes filles, la sélection se faisait par la partie des seins. Si les yeux de la jeune fille sont
It is the same. Mika, please. You have time to take picture later after. Here we are at the cell. I ate more in this house. Why? Because it was a cell for children from 6 years to 12 years. Why is it? We are here in the cell for children. Wash your head, please. That is a cell for children.
Oh.
Yeah. 6 years old to 12 years old. You see why I told you that is a cell I hate more in the slave house. Why the children? Because I will just give you the example of a dog. If you buy a dog and you want to this dog to allow you to like you, you have to buy it very, very little, very young. Yeah, right. That is why even for the children was involved during the slave house. A lot of people think it was only adults. No, it was children from 6 years old, young girls. Let's just go and visit the cell for young girls. And here we are in the cell for young girls. Those young girls had one privilege. They have their own toilets here. Because all the others was free only once a day to satisfy their need. And also we noticed that the missionary, the traders, sometimes was having sex with the young girls. And when they noticed that the young girl was pregnant, she's not going to America or to Europe, but she stay here in Gore, or they send her in Saint Louis, like a domestic. And so you may understand why those young girls was giving themselves to the traders. Because if they get pregnant from those traders, they are not leaving their country. Yeah. That is the reason why when the Pope from Vatican, Pope Jean Paul II, came here in Africa, in Senegal, when he visited this slave house, he kneeled down and he asked to the entire Africa to forgive. Why? Because he knows that the church was involved during this slave house. And I'm going to show you where he sit and apologize to the entire Africa and to the African diaspora also. Please follow me. That is a cell for temporary unfit. I told you earlier that when the slaves get in the house, the first thing they have to do is they take their weight to see if they are enough strong. If they are less than 50 kg, that is what we call the temporary unfit. Then they keep them in the cell and they feed them with a kind of bean we call nebe for 3 months. And after 3 months, if he's still skinny like me, then they keep him here and they use him like a domestic. And those African, those domestic, was again worse than the slave trader against their brothers. And here, you can get it inside. Wash your head. Yeah, wash your head. That is a cell for punishment. Because to punish them, to punish the slave. Because sometimes one of them want to escape or is trying to fight with them, then they keep him here. And that is the reason why when Nelson Mandela came here, When Mandela came here, he wanted to get inside. Even folk his protocol said no. And when he came out, his eyes turned red. And when they were asking him why, he says that it reminds him the prison of Robben Island in South Africa. Imagine they keep you here for 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it depends. And the same one is there, but for ladies. This is for men, and the other one for ladies. And here, please, here, let them take pictures here.
The doorway of no return.
That is the doorway of no return. Because after this door, it was bye-bye Africa forever. And that is from here, the Pope apologized to the entire Africa. We call it the doorway of no return.
Yeah.
But fortunately, you are back. And both sides, you have the corridor or waiting rooms where the slave was waiting. And at this time, they had a wooden bridge that goes from the door to the ship. Come take picture. This is a very important place. We call it the doorway of no return. It's here. Yeah, and you take her picture. That's what we do. You give her your phone. No problem.
I'm okay.
You say here. Okay, and you give your phone to him so he can take. You understand now?
Yeah, I get it.
After her, you go.
Thanks.
I want to slap back.
Yeah, it's dark. Okay.
We are going to have a prayer for all the ancestors who left the continent during the slave trade. Please come around. Dennis, you like a circle? Come around, please, brother. Come, ma. No. America, the father can be sent in Louisiana, no, the mother in Brazil, the son in Cuba, so it was a total separation.
This is the test, it also less. You're gonna see no ventilation.
You know what, guys? Let's we can take our photo now before it gets too crowded. Hold on, along the steps. Like we're gonna go up the steps. Hey.
You see the heavy iron ball I was talking about? Yes. It is 10 kgs. So even if you are a good swimmer, you cannot go anywhere. Yeah. And you also have the tackles. You have the Jackson family. And this is when the Pope visited the slave house.
Okay.
You have Obama at the doorway of no return. Here. And here you have our 4 presidents, 4 first presidents. The first president here, he was a very popular writer.
I'm coming. You guys go ahead. I'm coming.
Lundi, inshallah.
Watch the. No, we're going down. We're going down. You want to walk back up?
the first generation of African leaders were trained in this school. It was the school.
Oh, right here?
Yeah.
In the school here?
Yes. Most of the first generation, our first president, Leopold Sédar Senghor, Houphouët-Boigny from Ivory Coast, Nigeria from Niger, they was all trained here.
Oh, okay.
Now, you go to restaurant, take food, drink. After you finish the eat.
Oh, so I gotta cook it. Okay.